collaborators and dissidents, free speech zones, and riot police all geared up for a fight. Nope, I'm not talking about the news. All of that is in this week's movie, Captive State. Thank you guys for joining me for yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review. Right at the top, I would like to say a big hello and thank you for joining me to all of our frontline responders during the quarantine. Whether it's the nurses or doctors going into the hospital, the retail workers keeping those shelves stocked, the truckers who are bringing the goods into the city, especially where I live, and the restaurateurs who are keeping their doors open so we don't have to eat our own crappy food every single night. Thank you all. You are keeping us motivated, alive, and safe during this quarantine. And to all of those of you who are out on the street, exercising your First Amendment rights, letting the government know your opinions, thank you for taking the effort and the time to go out and do that. I hope that you are doing so safely. That, of course, means masks at all times, distancing as much as possible, and gloves where appropriate, especially if you're going to be touching something that might be dirty. I had this week's movie, Captive State, in the queue for a while to do, but the events of George Floyd's death and the social unrest that's kind of come after it really got it pushed up in the queue, and I really wanted to make sure that I got to it sooner rather than later. But before we get too far into the details of why, let's go through the pleasantry, shall we? Captive State was directed by Rupert Wyatt. It was written by Erica Benet and Rupert Wyatt. It is starring John Goodman as William Mulligan, Ashton Sanders as Gabriel Drummond, Jonathan Majors as Rafe Drummond, Vera Farmiga as Jane Doe, Kevin Dunn as the Commissioner, James Ranson as Patrick Ellison, Alan Ruck as Charles Rittenhouse, Madeline Brewer as Rula, and Machine Gun Kelly with a special appearance as Jurgis. So Captive State is not your typical story about social unrest. Rather than being set in the present day, it is set 10 years after an invasion from an extraterrestrial force in Chicago. At some point just after that invasion, a group of dissidents, led by or participated by Rafe Drummond, ended up exploding a bomb and causing a crackdown by the extraterrestrials through their collaborators on the public in Chicago and other major cities. But now it's been 10 years, and the extraterrestrials are planning a celebration with the collaborators about how much life has improved over the last 10 years for everyone on Earth. And this is where we meet Gabriel Drummond, Rafe's brother. He and one of his friends is trying desperately to save up enough money to get the parts to escape by boat across Lake Michigan and into Canada. While the United States is under a much harsher crackdown by the extraterrestrials, freedom, in a way, lies just across the lake over in Canada. Once they get to the woods, they can get out and maybe go find some level of living that isn't living in the slums of Chicago. And in this world, there are three types of people. And I think that this movie really spoke to me because as we kind of see the unrest unraveling in America right now, we also see that there are three, in our case, I think four, kinds of people. In Captive State, you have the active collaborators. Those are the people who are just working along with, sometimes in the government, sometimes, just in roles with the extraterrestrials. Then there are the inactive collaborators, and those are the people who are just trying to live their life and get by. They go to work in factories. They are serving a purpose to either society or to the extraterrestrials, but in the end, they are propping up this system that is kind of damaging for everybody. And then, of course, there are the dissidents, and the dissidents are the ones who are fighting actively the system as it exists. Now, you may recognize all three of those categories as people we see in America today, and I would agree with you, with the addition of there's probably a split amongst the dissident level. One of those group is the group that wants a peaceful protest and who recognizes protections of the Constitution, which don't exist in Captive State. And then there's another group who wants to act however they feel, and they will use any means necessary in order to accomplish their goal. Now, for the dissidents in Captive State, everything is by any means necessary, including, as Gabriel learns, attacking the extraterrestrials directly. So Gabriel has a bit of a guardian angel in the form of John Mulligan. He works within the police department. He seems like a collaborator, but he's always looking out for Gabriel and trying to keep him out of trouble. Now, we learn as the movie goes along that he had a relationship with Gabriel's parents, and that maybe he feels responsible in a way for what happened to Rafe and not keeping him out of trouble. So he's going a little hard on Gabriel to try and push him in the right direction. But we also learn from John Mulligan kind of the intricacies of the relationship with the extraterrestrials. What are they trying to do? In the end, they are trying to get resources from the planet Earth, and they're trying to, I'll use the word terraform, but when we use the word terraform, what we mean is to make it more Earth-like. They are trying to make it more like the planet that they left. Because right now, they can't come out on the surface for very long. They have to stay down deep within the Earth or inside their ships. But the effort to terraform is ongoing, and eventually, the planet Earth won't be suitable for human life anymore. It'll only be suitable for this alien life. And of course, as these movies go, they are far more powerful. They have weapons and armor and things that are unbelievable and can't be beat by human technology. But in the end, every living thing is fallible, and the dissidents are continually looking to find a way to get to them. And one of the ways that is easiest to get to those who are in power is through those who may be weaker than them, just like you, the collaborators. So one aspect of this we see through the eyes of Jane Doe, Vera Farmiga, and John Mulligan is the relationship that the collaborators have with everyone out in the skid, which is everything that's not the city proper of Chicago. When Rafe and his group of dissidents exploded the bomb years ago, the aliens basically just bombarded the city, and huge swaths of it are just demolished. And that is where the majority of the population lives. Even those inactive collaborators who are going out and working in the factories, well, they got to live somewhere. And a lot of them can't afford to live in the ritzy city where the collaborators have their nice apartments, so they live out in the skid. But Gabriel feels torn. He's torn between his desire to escape and the overwhelming pressure of John Mulligan on trying to get his life straight and trying to get him to become a collaborator, or so it seems. And when he feels like he's at the crux, just when he's about to have the opportunity to escape, he learns Rafe is not dead. Rafe survived the attack, and Rafe makes contact with him. And Rafe puts him in contact with the new dissident group, which is planning another attack for the 10-year anniversary. And then Gabriel has to decide, what is he going to do? Is he going to work with them and try to make a drastic change for not just him, not just Chicago, but the world? Or is he going to make his escape and get out and go live his life? And thrown into this, of course, are there's a woman. Of course, there's always a woman. Rula, his girlfriend, who wants him to do one thing. His friend, Machine Gun Kelly, who wants him to do another thing. John Mulligan, still weighing heavily on him. His brother and the legacy. And all of these things swirling around, leading up to a very important date, the 10-year anniversary of First Contact. And I won't give everything away, and I'm not going to do a spoiler section because it is an older movie, but I do think that if this interests you, you should check it out. There's a lot of underlying themes, and that's the way these movies work. District 9 from a few years ago was very similar to this, about creating a second-class citizenry and treating them different. I mean, basically every extraterrestrial movie can be broken down into one of two things. One, there are more things that are similar about us than there are different, and in times of strife, we all come together. And we're seeing that in the world around us right now. And the other side is that basically, we use the aliens as a stand-in for the government because nobody really wants to see a movie where we're fighting our government. Trust me, I've written that movie and nobody wants to see it. So we use the aliens as a stand-in so we can see, underground movements, Vichy, France style things happen in America, and we get to see them kind of level destruction on an enemy that isn't the government. So it's usually one of those two things. This happens to be the latter, but I do think that there are a lot of good lessons, and there's a lot of things we can take away from it given the current climate, and I think it's worthwhile to see. So if this kind of movie interests you, it's a sci-fi movie. They do a really good job of kind of hiding the aliens for a long time. It's a compliment I gave to Cloverfield many, many years ago, that they did a really great job of hiding the alien until the very much appropriate moment. And that kind of built up your suspense about who are these scary creatures that everyone is afraid of, who are controlling everything. I think they did a really great job of that in Captive State as well. I think all the great themes are there. I am a sci-fi fan, so for me, alien invasion movie where they're fighting the aliens, I'm down for that no matter what. And especially with like a 90-minute runtime during quarantine where you got nothing to do but watch movies. If you're a sci-fi fan, if you like action-adventure movies, if you like shoot-'em-ups where there's a little bit of a spy aspect, spies and shoot-'em-ups and like twists and turns, kind of in that mystery way, but not a mystery you want to figure out. Just like a mystery that kind of gets revealed to you as you go along. And I did see that one reviewer said, the best thing about this movie is they don't spoon feed you everything. There are moments where things happen, and in the moment that you see it, you instantly put together all of the things that led to that moment. And there is something so rewarding and a payoff for the viewer that we figured out right when they figure it out with the same clues. And this movie does that very well. So if that sounds like a movie you'd be into, definitely check it out. From my point of view, I'm going to give it 1 thumb up. I won't give both just because I don't think it has as wide appeal as some of the other movies. This could be very much a niche movie, but if you like the movies as I've described them, I think you're definitely going to like this one. It's available on streaming. The links will be down in the show notes below, so go check it out. Worth your time, definitely. And when it comes time for some self-care, to get off the street, take a little rest, and maybe you want to keep that energy up and keep inspired, Captive State is going to be a movie that does that. So there you have it, yet another episode of the Everyman Movie Review in the books. First up, before even the patrons, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, I finally got a haircut. No, I didn't go out to a salon. If you guys come to my channel just to check out the Everyman Movie Reviews, you're not going to want to miss the video of me cutting my hair live on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. I put up a poll and said, should I wait or should I cut it now? Overwhelmingly, people said cut it, so Roxy had been hitting me up to cut my hair since she got here, and I let her do it. And you can watch the video and all the kind of ridiculousness that went on during that right here on the YouTube channel. You're going to find that video right here. And I'm going to be looking to do more videos like that. So make sure you check out all the new releases on the channel. You're not going to be disappointed. Now, one thing you won't see here on YouTube is the longer version of it, the one with bonus footage after the live stream stopped, because that is only for my patrons over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. Some folks over there are getting behind the scenes action. They're getting exclusives that nobody will see. They're coming along with me as I write my next book. Those are all things you can experience for as little as $1. It is 100% worth it. And you can also then know that you're supporting me doing my work and everything that I'm doing. So go on over to Patreon, sign up to be a supporter, and check out all of the stuff I have going on over there. And of course, I don't want to forget about the social media. You can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, TikTok, everywhere at Robert N. Cheek. I try to keep up. I try to post a lot. I have been posting an exponential amount during the George Floyd protests, so make sure you're following me to get all the latest on my life. And of course, one last thing, robertncheek.com, still under construction, but we are starting to get more content up there. If you're looking for anything about what I'm working on or what I have or what's out there in the world, you're going to find it at robertncheek.com, including all of these videos, the other videos from YouTube, the books, the screenplays, all of that. At robertncheek.com, that's the place to go. You're not going to want to miss it. And finally, if you can't get enough of me because, why would you? Make sure you're checking out the Oh the Anthem podcast. New episodes every single Tuesday at ohtheanthem.com, on YouTube at Oh the Anthem, and on anchor.fm/Oh the Anthem. Me and my buddy Corey have now done 320 plus weeks of consecutive new episodes, new material every single week. But thank you for checking out this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a little break from everything that's going on in the world around us, and that it lets you recharge and give yourself a little self-care. Make sure you come back. New episodes every Thursday and one day in between, plus other stuff that's going on that's not the reviews. Make sure you turn on the notifications. It'll let you know whenever I post something new. And until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week, everybody.